Hello guys, it's me, Jiggy Spice. So it's been a little while since I've uploaded a New World guide, but I am coming to you today with a really cool build. This is going to be the Sword and Shield and Firestaff build. Now I know what you're thinking, that sounds strange. And yeah, it is strange because Sword and Shield doesn't scale off of int at all. But we are going to make it work and you're still going to deal nice damage with your sword. Is it an S tier build? No, but it's an off meta build, and like all off meta builds you can catch people by surprise. They don't have all of these premeditated strategies on how to beat you. So you're gonna catch people off guard and you're gonna throw them off, because when they see that Firestaff they expect a rapier, they expect an ice gauntlet. Nobody expects a sword and shield. So I'm gonna try my best to explain to you guys how I play this build. I'm of course going to show you guys how to set it up, what gear I'm using, what talent points I'm using and all of that. So let's just dive into this very interesting but very fun build. And I have to say this is by far the funnest build I've played ever. Alright, so let's get into it. Alright, so let's start by taking a look at the Firestaff. Now this build, you can change out a few points depending on how you want to play, and I'm going to explain that, but this is the build that I'm currently running. We're going to be running Pillar, Fireball and Burnout. Now you definitely can run Flamethrower, it's still super strong, and that's pretty much the only reason why I don't use it, because it's too strong. It's a little bit too easy and it feels a little bit too cheesy, but if you want to go for it, you just go for it and send it. Just switch out that Pillar or switch out Burnout with Flamethrower depending on how you play and what you play. That's up to you. But for this build, for me, I'm going to run Pillar, but you can run Flamethrower if you want to. So we are going to upgrade Pillar once. This is going to make the damage per stack of smolder increase the damage of the pillar. So you want to try to get 5 stacks of smolder, which is the burning dot. You want to have 5 stacks of that and then, you know, throw out the pillar, you're going to do big damage. We're not going to upgrade it again because we don't care about mana. Mana is easy to get. Every time you dodge you get mana, and you have mana potions. So we don't care about the mana talents. We're not going to go for those. Then we're going to get Fiery Restoration. This makes your heavy attacks reduce all Firestaff cooldowns by 10% on any hit. Really nice talent, always pick this one up. Then we're going to get Clear Mind. While you're holding a Firestaff and you're above 50% mana, you gain 5% in power. Always nice. Fireball, we're again going to upgrade this one once. This will make it apply a stack of smolder. We're not going to upgrade it again because we don't care about mana, although you can do it if you want to because it does reduce cooldowns by 7%. And I'm going to show you in a bit which talent points you can switch out in this build. But for me personally, I don't upgrade it to catch. I just upgrade it once. Then we're of course going to get Singe, light and heavy attacks. And this is also important to know, this has been changed. Pre-patch this used to be only light attacks, but now it's light and heavy attacks will inflict a stack of smolder. So definitely pick this one up. Next up we're going to get Clear Casting. After not taking damage from an attack in the last 3 seconds, you deal 5% more damage. That's a no-brainer, definitely always pick that one up. Next up we're going to get the Spell Slinger. Your Firestaff abilities gain an extra 10% chance to critical strike. Now critical strike is still important with the Firestaff because it's still extra damage. They did decrease the overall damage of crits, but crits are still worth it. So go for the critical strike talent points. And I'm also going to talk about my staff later on, which ties into this, but yeah, crit is good. More damage is always better. Next up we're going to get the Flare. Now this is the new ability that makes your heavy attacks have a AoE splash effect on the impact. It gives you a 1 meter AoE splash. Really handy, really good for group fights, really good for still applying some damage if you miss people. So if your aim is bad like me, this is a no-brainer. Honestly, it just makes you be more consistent with applying damage. The only caveat is that this makes your projectile travel 25% slower, so it's up to you if you want to ditch this or not. For me personally, I think this is a really strong perk, so definitely pick this one up. Then next up we're going to get Prophet of a Fire God. While holding a Firestaff, your critical strike damage is increased by 15%. This one is really important, definitely make sure to pick this one up. And then as you can see, for once in my Firestaff builds, we are actually picking Runes of Helios. Runes of Helios is totally worth it now. The radius of the circle is so big that now you can actually get some usage out of it. That extra damage you get from standing in the circle, it's very big and very noticeable, and it does come in clutch a lot. Next up, over in the Pyromancer tree, we're going to get Pyromania. All attacks deal 10% increased damage against targets with Burn or Smolder. No brainer, always pick this one up for any Firestaff build. Next up, we're going to get Heated Up. Dodging through an enemy melee attack inflicts a stack of Smolder. This one is also really nice. You just basically, you want to keep Smolder stacks up at all times. You want to make sure to apply 5 stacks as fast as possible. You want to keep those up so that when you unleash that pillar, you do maximum damage. They also take nasty amounts of damage when they are max stacked of Smolder. Like the tick of that dot is insane. So we're also going to get Kindle, of course. Any applied Smolder effect lasts for 20% longer. That's a no-brainer, we're going to get that one. And then we're going to get Watch It Burn. Critical hits with the Firestaff inflicts a stack of Smolder. Next up, we're going to get Burnout, and I upgrade this one all the way. We're going to upgrade it once so that it reduces your cooldowns based on how many people you pass through, and we're going to upgrade it one more time because Heated Up is so much fun and I get a lot of usage out of it. It's a skill shot. Basically what it does is it creates a big explosion at the end of your Burnout, which deals 100% weapon damage, 2.5 meter radius, so it's not very big radius, but it's enough. When you land this one and you kill somebody with it, that's probably the most satisfying kills you can give with a Firestaff. Is it the best perk in the world? No, it's not, and a lot of people choose not to get this one, but for me it's so much fun. So let's talk about what you can switch out. This is one of those that you can switch out if you want to. For me personally, I just think it's too much fun, so I keep it, but you can definitely trade this one out for combat speed. It's a little bit painful to not have my haste anymore, but I have gotten used to it by now. There are some situations where I feel like I miss my haste, but it's only 10% and you know it has a 5-second cooldown, or 10-second cooldown rather. But yeah, you can trade this one out for combat speed or catch if you feel like that one. Next up is also the flare. I think I mentioned that, but you can switch that one out as well. Then we're going to go over to the sword and shield. If you've seen any of my previous guides, it's pretty much exactly the same. There's a few changes. I will go over the Swordmaster first. So we're going to get Achilles heel. The final strike in your light attack chain inflicts a 20% slow. If you're using a sword and shield in a DPS way, you're going to want to stack slows because you deal more damage to slowed foes. This time we're going to get Empowered Stab. Successfully hitting heavy attacks grants you 30% empower, and that is because we're also getting Freeing Justice. Successfully hitting with a heavy attack causes you to lose 1 debuff. Then we're also going to get Precision, which increases your critical strike chance by 10%. We are going to get Counterattack. When you block an attack, you gain a stack of 3% empower, and this can stack up to 5 times. We're of course going to get Leaping Strike and upgrade that all the way. It's going to deal more damage to targets below 30% health, and of course for that 30% slow for 3 seconds. Always upgrade Leaping Strike all the way. Then we're going to get Opportunist, deal 10% more damage to slowed foes like we talked about here. And then we're going to get Critical Precision. On critical you gain 20% haste for 5 seconds. This is so great. If you use this correctly in tight situations, you can use this to run away and get some speed so that you can continue attacking with your Firestaff from a distance. It's really useful. And of course Leadership. Leadership is just a great ability. I always pick it up. Next up, Shield Rush. Remember, it's important to not upgrade Shield Rush because this will increase the animation duration. Like it will make the animation longer. So if you don't upgrade Shield Rush, it will activate faster basically. Then we're going to get Elemental Resistance. Now this one is important because basically this one gives you the old mitigation from pre-patch, so it's really powerful right now. Make sure if you're using a sword and shield right now in PvP, always pick this one up. Don't even consider it, just pick it up. Shield Bash, of course, gonna upgrade that one all the way, so we get the increased stun duration. And we're going to get Final Blow because we are doing triple strikes with the light attack for slowing people and stuff like that, so it's just nice to pick this one up for 15% more damage. We're of course going to get Invigorating Bulwark. You gain 15 stamina when you hit targets with Shield Bash or Shield Brush. This comes in clutch all the time and it's a really strong perk. And of course Recuperation, which increases all incoming healing effects by 10%. And that's going to do it for our weapons. Then for my attributes, we are going to run, I run with the, this food is going to be the cheapest option, I'm pretty sure. Glazed beer with sauteed vegetables. Increases intelligence by 24 and con by 16. I'm going to use it so that you can see my real stats. We are running 200 constitution like always. You can run 150 if you want to. I just feel like there are so many times I survive with like 1000 health or less. So I want that extra health. I don't care about the armor, I don't care about the perk, I just want the extra health. And then everything else into intelligence. Now over to my gear. Like always, I'm running some budget scuffed gear. I don't care that much about gear, it's not that important. There are some few essential perks that you need, but as long as you have them, you never need best in slot gear to be competitive in this game. So, but ideally what would be best in slot would be to run something like this. Elemental Aversion, Refreshing and Resilient with Onyx gems. So just get this on every perk, on every piece of gear, except for one where you need the Refreshing Pillar of Fire. Now I don't use Refreshing Pillar of Fire on my staff, I use other perks for that, so I would recommend you to get the pillar on your armor, because it already pops often enough, you don't really need it on the staff. But yeah, just run 5 times or 4 times Refreshing, Resilient and Elemental Aversion. That's going to be BIS, in my opinion at least. And then 5 times Onyx. So you have 5 times Elemental Aversion and 5 times Onyx gems. That is going to give you the best mitigation, especially for this light armor build that I'm running, because you are going to wear 5 pieces of light armor so that you can still dodge roll with a round shield. So let me just go over what gear I'm actually using. I have Resilient and Refreshing Pillar on my helmet, just a purple, no big deal. On my chest piece is basically a 2-perker as well, Elemental Aversion and Resilient and Blight Resistance, very good in PvP. Then we have my glove, which is Elemental Aversion, Resilient and Empowering Breaker. Again, basically a 2-perker, Empowering Breaker is not that great, but I mean, if somebody blocks your stuff, it's cool to get some Empower. Not the best one in the world. For my legs, I am actually using Shirking Energy and I kinda like it. I do feel that it still comes in useful sometimes. I haven't been using Shirking Energy for a long time, but now that I went back to using it, I do kind of like it, and it does actually save me in certain situations. But I still would say that Refreshing is better. It kind of depends on your playstyle and what you're comfortable with, so you can decide that one for yourself, but I would say Refreshing is better than Shirking Energy. My shield, I'm still using this one. I just haven't bothered upgrading it. Refreshing move gives me what I'm needing for my sorted shield, basically. There are definitely better shields out there. If you can get one with flame conditioning or flame shield ward, that would be way better, because obviously there's a lot of fire mages these days, but I'm just using this one. So over to the Firestaff. This, in my opinion, is what a best in slot Firestaff looks like. Vicious for that extra damage. Empowering Fireball is still the best perk to have on the staff, because yes, the target has to be above 50% health now, but it's still 58% more damage to targets above 50% health, and most targets you attack are gonna be above 50% health most of the time. So yeah, I think this one is great. And then Flame Attunement, of course. For the sword, running Flame Attunement and Enchanted. A base sword for this build would be Flame Attunement, Enchanted and Vicious. You could get other things like Keen Speed or something, but I think Vicious is going to be better. You just want as much damage as possible. This sword is not going to be a weapon you use a lot, but sometimes I whip it out and do some light attacks, and you deal decent damage with it. It's not great. You're going to get out damaged by every other melee weapon, of course, but it can come in clutch sometimes when you just don't have time to pull out the staff, and yeah, it does come in clutch. For the amulet, we are running Divine, Empowered and Health. Now, it is worth mentioning that at the time of recording this, Empowered does not work. It's bugged, so yeah, it doesn't do anything right now, which is sad. But they're going to fix that eventually, and this is going to be the best in slot amulet. For the ring, now this one is the one that I'm thinking so much about these days. I think you probably do want fire damage, instead of maybe invigorated punishment. I'm running just hardy, keen awareness, and invigorated punishment, but invigorated punishment is not that great anymore because people aren't stacking shirking forward and all of these things. So, like, in general, people just aren't buffed up as much as they used to be. But I'm still running this one. It's working out for me. I don't feel like I'm lacking gear in any fights, so I'm just running this one. I mostly do it for the hardy and the keen awareness anyway. So I would say rock keen awareness though for this build, because you just want to crit as much as possible. And surprisingly enough, it makes a big difference if you don't run it. I feel like I never crit almost when I don't run it, but you can decide that one for yourself. I run this and I'm happy. And then my earring, just a simple 2-perker, healthy toast, refreshing toast. Those are my must-have perks. I love these perks. I will never stop using these perks ever. I'm addicted to them. So yeah. And then for my heart run, I'm just using the purple cannon blast. That's all you need. It's such a fun ability, and it gives you some extra burst damage when you need it in clutch situations. This one comes in clutch all the time, and it's definitely my new favorite heart run. I don't see myself ever changing away from this one. It's such a fun skill shot. It's such a cool ability. You can shield bash into cannon blast very easily. You can shield rush into cannon blast if you're fast, and if they're slow. You can also leaping strike into cannon blast, which is the most satisfying probably, although they can dodge away, but sometimes they don't do it fast enough and you manage to get it off. Cannon blast is just such a fun hard rune. I forgot to talk about the gems in my weapons. For the Firestaff, we're just using an ignited opal, and in the sword we're using a regular ruby, just to convert 50% of that damage over to int, so that you get as much damage output as possible from the sword. Another thing that I want to talk about is, you might have noticed that most of my gear is just 600. Do upgrade your gear to 625. It makes a difference. Definitely does make a difference, especially your weapons. Make sure to upgrade those to 625. The only reason I don't upgrade to 625 is because I just don't do much PvE, so I just never have the umbrals, and I don't care. I barely notice the power difference on my armor pieces, but if you don't upgrade your weapons, you will definitely notice a power difference against people with 625. But in general, upgrade your gear to 625, it does make a difference. Not a big one, but it does make a difference. Alright, so I just want to quickly show you guys some damage numbers. Firstly, the sword, because a lot of people doubt me when I say that the sword deals good damage. It doesn't deal great damage, but it deals very decent damage. Against most players, it hits for around 1000, maybe 900, which of course is not a lot, but in general, people have around 12k health, 13k health, so it's not nothing. And the sword is fast. Leaping strike still does good damage. Shield bash shield rush not the best. Shield bash even less, but it's damage. And you have to remember that the sword and shield has so much utility, and mostly you're going to use the sword and shield for utility in this build, because all of your main damage is of course coming from the Firestaff. Now let me see if I can get 5 stacks on this guy. I was too fast, so we didn't get to see the pillar damage there, I don't think. Alright, let's get 5 stacks on this guy again. That's a 5k hit right there on the dummy. 5k on the fireball. And 2.5k plus, was it 3k on the burnout, which is a lot of damage. So all of your damage is mostly going to come from the Firestaff. You're just going to use your shield to kind of like a shield bash into a pillar, and then dodging back into a fireball. Then you can chase after them if they dodge, explode. New pillar. If the melee guy rushes you, I use the shield rush, dodge back, shoot them once. It's such a good utility build. That's one of my favorites, leaping strike into cannon. They never see it coming. Some people see it coming, but in general, it's not everybody sees that one coming. This build just has so much utility, which is what the Firestaff lacks. It is just raw damage, no CC. Is the rapier going to be a better option? In most cases, probably yes, but I don't know. I beat Firestaff mages with the rapier with this build because they just don't know how to fight me. Extremely good players, especially players with spear, who are really good. I have no chance against them. So like your biggest enemy with this build is going to be the spear boys. If they catch you with a light attack, you're pretty much doomed. There's just no getting away, especially if they're using rapier or hatchet. You just cannot get away. So against the spear players, you have to be extremely careful. You have to maintain distance. If they catch you, you're gonna have to pray to whatever you believe in to get away from that one. Unless like the really good players, they're just going to destroy you with the spear and hatchet. So just be aware of that. Other than that, most other enemies you can definitely beat them. So I'm going to show you guys this clip here because it shows really well some of the strengths and weaknesses of this build. Obviously you can see I'm very squishy, but I'm still able to take a lot of damage without going down, and that's because I have the 5 Onyx and then 5 Elemental Aversion. So I'm kind of decked out to handle some incoming damage, but not too much, of course. You're very squishy. But here you just see you using your abilities to create space, using them to kite. Here I was just waiting for my cooldown so I could heal back to full. My teammates are actually not going to help me in this fight, so it's a great example of how you can 1vx with this build as well. You're just using your abilities to create space, make sure to dodge any devastating incoming CC. I got lucky there that the spear guy broke that stun, otherwise that could have been nasty. But you see here I'm just constantly just kiting, shield bash that guy, burn out to get that distance again. He hits me with some good damage on the bow there, but I have my cooldowns ready on my potions and I was able to capitalize on that. Here he's stuck in animation and I get a nasty pillar, finish him off with that leaping strike. There was no escape for him there. So you just see his really strong shield bash to get him away from me. He queued up his shield bash, he wasted his shield bash there. It's so strong, you have so much utility all the time. Burn out again, he cannot stop me. And there it is, he's dead. Here we're going to see another great example of the utility of the sword and shield and the absolute insane damage of the Firestaff. See, we're just pumping out damage, and these guys even have a healer, but they have no chance in hell to out heal the damage that we're putting out. Now it's worth mentioning that we have a good bow player on our team too, who's doing a lot of work. But you see, we're just able to just put so much pressure on the team. That fireball there is going to deal a lot of damage and he just gets taken down. Half the health of that healer with that burnout, and then the pillar makes him die instantly. Shield bash that guy and then he is taken down as well. It's just so much utility. You're a really strong team member. You're bringing a ton of utility, creating openings, creating space. You're able to CC if another team member needs some space. It's just such a good brawler build for Arena. Here too you can see we're just devastating, bringing out so much damage, constant damage. And every time that we are caught in a bad spot, we're able to retreat or create space or create openings with CC or escape abilities. And with that range we can quickly change targets, finishing off with the leap there. Leaping strike is still so good even with the intelligence sword. And yeah, it's such a powerful build. And like even when you're playing against healers, now that the healers are so squishy, you can even kill healers with this build. Like pretty much healers now in Arena is kind of a troll, because the only thing a healer can ever do in Arena now is run around and try to survive. They won't actually have time to heal their teammates. You see this guy, he's playing well, but he doesn't stand a chance. He will go down. 2 people focusing him, it's too much damage. No shot in hell he has to out heal that. Then we can just finish off their 2 remaining teammates. It's just too much damage, too much utility. If you have good teammates as well, like you're bringing that utility to the teammates. It's just such a good build. So much fun. Such an amazing build. So yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for this video though. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask me in the comments down below. And if you did like this video and you do like this build, then consider hitting that like button. It would help me out a lot. And if you want to subscribe to see more awesome content in the future, then please go ahead and do so. Anyways, that's all I have for today, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, have a nice day. Peace.